Well, here we are, thoughts from the office, Redneck's Pride Outdoors. Man, it's a hot one today. So I've got the air conditioner back on. And doing a lot of groundhog work. So I wanted to do a short video on groundhogs, not only because I'm doing a lot of groundhog work, but because I'm getting a lot of inquiries and talking to other control folks about groundhogs. And just throw in a little tidbit. This may be important to somebody, may not. You may just brush it off as an old man gabbing and whatever. But one of the things I've noticed over the countless years that I've been dealing with groundhogs is I've noticed a behavioral behavior in the groundhogs that is somewhat interesting. And that is this: when the weather is wet and cooler and rainy, the vegetation obviously is going to be greener. And what I noticed is that the groundhogs in the cooler, wetter weather tend to stick closer to a den location. Whereas when it's hot and dry, and just a little bit of rain or not much rain at all, and that grass and vegetation is starting to dry up a little bit and turn brown, I noticed that the groundhogs bounce around from den site to den site to den site. And you can really see it if you're a groundhog hunter, if you will, and you're out in the farm country. You saw the groundhogs at a spot 2 days ago, and you go out in prime time early in the morning or late in the afternoon, and you set up and you're waiting for the groundhogs to come out, and they don't come out at that spot. And then you look 50 to 100 yards over, and they pop out of the dens. You see that more as a groundhog hunter or as a wildlife control when I do a large Superfund site or I'm doing large property contracts. It's hot, it's dry. I see that the groundhogs move around a lot more, and I see it more readily. All right. But when you're dealing with residential, small lots, quarter acre, half acre, even 1 acre lots, and the houses are really condensed into each other, you don't see it as readily, even though it's happening the same way. And what I believe is happening, I don't have any research to document this. I'm sure there is some out there. Some grad student has already probably figured it out. Steve Van Tassel, check it out for me. But what I noticed is this: the groundhogs bounce around from den to den to den, shed to shed to shed, deck to deck to deck. And the only time that changes in the hot, dry weather is when the folks have a yard that has an automatic watering system, and the grass is green, and the flowers are growing, and the garden is pumping out the vegetables, and there's a consistent, constant food source. Then I will see the groundhogs stay under that shed, or I'll see the groundhogs stay underneath that deck or in that hole in the backyard. But when you have limited flowers, limited garden, and the grass is drying up, especially your clover. When your clover is not growing as well, and your edge vegetation, meaning flowers and what have you, aren't growing as much, the groundhogs bounce around. And sometimes I'm watching these groundhogs bounce around 2 to 3 yards over. And you start to ask yourself why. Well, after all these years of asking myself why, I came up with a few years ago, I came up with the reasoning. What I found was that these groundhogs will have multiple den sites, maybe 50 feet, maybe 50 yards, maybe 100 yards. But they're going to have these den sites within close proximity of the food source that they're preferring at that day. You heard me say it, that day. Or that hour. So the customer calls, and I have to start asking a lot of questions so I can figure out what I want to do, if I want to set up a perimeter or if I want to set up den. Because in my area, the majority of my residential groundhog work is going to be under sheds, under decks, under swimming pool aprons. That's where they're going to live for the majority of the time. Now, what I've got to ask my customers is this. How often do you see the groundhog? Every morning, every night? Yes. Okay. Where's it coming from? That shed, that deck, that swimming pool apron, that wood pile? Or is it coming from underneath a fence? Or is it coming from across a wide open yard? And in my area, not everybody has fences. There's a lot of wide open yards. So I may have a residential area where everybody's in a 1/4 acre lot, their property, but it's wide open, and there'll be 10 acres of nothing but wide open, and the only thing that you can tell from one yard to another is the decks and the sheds. And what I've seen is groundhogs will be living here today, and tomorrow they're gone, and they're gone for 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And then all of a sudden they come back. Now, I'm going to be very careful here and not to tell you what to do as far as your method goes. I've learned that hard way. It's better, unless you ask what to do, I'm not going to tell you. You do what you want to do. But you can understand where I'm going with this. That when I talk to the customer and they say to me, yeah, I see it for 2, 3 days in a row, and then I won't see it for 2, 3 days in a row, and then I'll see it for 2, 3 days in a row. Well, you can obviously understand that my methods are going to be a whole bunch different than if they're telling me they see the groundhog coming out from under that shed for the last 2 weeks, every morning and every night, and it runs back in there every morning and every night. And the grass is green, and the vegetation is high or good, then my methods will be different than it will be when it's hot, dry, and the customer's saying, well, I don't see it every day. What you do method-wise is up to you. You're the wildlife control specialist. What I do as a wildlife control specialist and you do are two different things. But that's just a little tidbit in case you're not thinking on groundhogs, or you're brand spanking new getting into groundhogs, or your groundhog work is all of a sudden this year picking up and you're having a hard time catching the groundhogs and you can't figure out why. And when I can't catch a groundhog, the first thing I do is I monitor the hole, the entry point. First thing I do. Next thing I'd ask is, even though I asked the customer the first day, I asked, are you still seeing the groundhog? I got 2 jobs that I'm picking up groundhogs today that they went 7 days. And I told both customers. That's the reason I'm doing this video, because I'm heading there to these 2 jobs. And I told both customers, this is going to be one of those jobs that it's going to take a little bit of time. And hopefully I get them as soon as they come back the first time. But if not, I need to make sure that you tell me if you see the groundhogs in a different part of the yard, or if you're seeing the groundhogs by the trap and not going into it. I need you to tell me that. Call me and tell me that. You are my eyes and ears. I can't be there 24/7. And these 2, thank the Lord, these 2 jobs that I'm talking about now that I'm going after the groundhogs, I got them as they was coming back into the yard, so that's good. That's good. And no, they wasn't posi sets. But anyway, with that being said, just a little bit of tidbit on groundhogs for the wildlife control industry. And if you're a homeowner, again, not coming from the world's best guy, just one of the guys that's been in the business for a long time. I'll catch you later, Redneck's Pride Outdoors. I'll see you. Oh, by the way, the baits. Hog Bait 2, Banana Supreme, Veggie Patch, Fruit Patch, Coon Corny, The Lures, Purple Passion, Persimmon, Sweet Revenge, That's It, Flower Shop. They're my go-tos. All right, I'll talk to you later. See you later. Bye-bye.